Berachos Daf Mem Gimel. We learned in the Mishnah that if everybody's gathered around and all leaning on the couches, one person can make the bracha for everybody else. Says the Gemara, that's talking about bread. But when it comes to wine, there's a machlokes. And there's two opinions what Rav said. The first lashon says, the Rav said, that when it comes to wine, if everybody's leaning, then one person could be mitzvah everybody else. The second lashon in Rav is, it doesn't matter. Everybody could be leaning, it won't help. Everybody must make their own bracha. And Rabbi Yochanan holds, as long as everybody's leaning, one person can be mitzvah everybody else. How do we explain the brayso? There's a wealthy person that invites many poor people as guests. And the guests start coming in and they sit down in the front room. And they're waiting for the rest of the guests to come in. And as they're waiting, he serves them wine and he tells them, wash one hand. Rashi says because of Tumah, Tosfos says because of covet of bracha. And each one makes an individual bracha on the wine. The question is, according to the first opinion in Rav, why can't one person make a bracha for everybody? The answer is because they're all transitioning to the second room. And therefore in this room they're not considered kavua, they're not considered mizuman together, and each one should make their own bracha. So now all the guests show up and they transition into the second room where they have beds and everybody lays down, they do a seva, and they all wash both of their hands because they're going to be eating bread. And now one person makes a bracha on the wine for everybody. The question is, according to the second opinion of Rav, how could one person make a bracha for everybody? The answer is, since one person is making a bracha on bread for everybody, so migoi that he's doing it for bread, you could be mitzi other people for wine as well. It says in the Mishnah that the person who is honored in Zimun, he's the same person who's going to make the bracha on Besamim and be mitzi everybody else. And it seems like there's another greater person than him in the room. Why is it that he's doing all these brachas? Says the Gemara, because he washed his hands first for Mayim Achrayim, so he gets to do Zimun. And once he gets to do Zimun, we say, finish the mitzvah, make the bracha on Besamim as well. The Gemara tells us a story that Rav was eating by Rebbe's house, together with Rav Chizda, and Rebbe looked at Rav and said, go wash your hands. Rav started shaking. He thought maybe he did something wrong. And Rav Chizda explained to him, no. Rebbe wants you to go wash your hands first for Mayim Achrayim, like we said before, the one that washes first, he's the one that's honored in Zimun. Why do we make a bracha on smell? It's not a physical thing. Says the Gemara, because it says in the pasuk, Kol neshama tahalul ka. What is it that a neshama could benefit from that the rest of the body doesn't? The only thing is a good smell, and the pasuk says, make a bracha. Rav Bar Yirmiyah says that just like when you're eating food, you eat bread, you say hamaitzi, and then you put it in your mouth. Even before you eat and benefit, you say the bracha. So too when it comes to the smell, you make the bracha before you actually smell. As long as it's going up in smoke, you can make that bracha. Says Rav, mugmar, which is incense that you put on coals and it creates a nice fragrance in the smoke. The bracha is atzei b'samim. Besides mushk, which in English is musk, which comes from animals, the bracha would be bayir minei b'samim. The Brisa says differently. The Brisa says that the only thing that you say atzei b'samim is a farsamoin of Rebbe and Hadassim. Now, what bracha do you make on a farsamoin? The oil of a farsamoin? Don't bring a ride from Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda loved Eretz Yisrael, and therefore he inserted in the bracha, Boirei Shemen Artseinu, our land. The bracha is like Rabbi Yochanan who says, Boirei Shemen Arev. And the Gemara brings a list of things that you say, Boirei Atzei B'samim. Kesharta, which is kastas, also known as koisht, which is one of the samamonim of the Ketores. Simlak is jasmine. Chilfei Dima is spikenard, also one of the Ketores, which is Shiboilas nard. And Narkoim, which is garden roses, they're all Atzei B'samim. What do you say? Izbei B'samim, the Gemara brings an example of Sigle, which is violets. If you have a fruit that's edible but also has a very good smell, such as an esrig or a chavusha, which is a quince, then you make a special bracha, Shenosan Reach Toiv Ba'Peiros. In Nisan, when trees start blooming and you see a blooming tree, what you say is, Baruch Shalei Chizar Ba'ilami Klum. Nothing is missing in this world. We don't need these beautiful trees. We can live without them. Ubaraba Brios Toivais, Vilanes Toivais. Why did he create these beautiful trees? L'snais Bahem B'nei Adam, to give us pleasure. Says Gemara, in the future when Mashiach comes, Bachur Yisrael, the young men will have the smell of Levanai. Gemara says an amazing thing, that Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world in a way where everybody enjoys their job. Even a tanner enjoys the smell, gets used to the smell, even though it's a really bad smell, says the Gemara, similar to a mushal where a person puts a palm shoot on the back of a pig and it's clean. The pig will find his way and roll into the mud. Even if this person, this tanner, finds another job, eventually he'll end up back tanning. If a person walks by himself at night, he might encounter a shade, and the shade could damage him, could harm him, and he'll see the shade. But if he holds a lamp in his hand, then it's as if he's walking with another person. It's as if there's two people. He might see the shade, but the shade won't harm him. If he's walking to the light of the moon, then it's as if there are three people there, and he won't even see the shade. Rabbi Yochanan says it's better for a person to throw himself into a fire than to embarrass somebody in public. We learned that from Tamar and Yehuda. If a person is holding in his hand oil that smells good and hadas, according to Bisfil, you make the bracha on hadas. According to Bishami, you make the bracha on shemen. Says Rabbi Gamliel, Bishami is right, because shemen accomplishes two things. You could smear it on your skin, and it also smells good. And Rabbi Gamliel says that Bishami is right. But what happened was, the Gemara says, Rav Papa passing like Basil, and he said, but Rabbi Gamliel said that the halach is like Bishamai. Says Rav Papa, yeah, but I heard that from Rava that the halach is like Basil. Says the Gemara, very interesting thing. Rav Papa was embarrassed, so he made up a story that Rava passing like Basil. If a person has two things, oil and wine, which one does he make a bracha on first? Bishami says you hold the oil in your hand, you make the bracha on the oil, and Basil says you hold the wine in your right hand, and you make the bracha on the wine. What do you do with the oil? You anoint your servant. But if your servant is a Talmid Chacham, don't put this good smelling oil on him, because a Talmid Chacham should be careful not to go out with good smelling perfume. The Gemara brings a list of things that Talmid Chacham should be careful of. First of all, a Talmid Chacham should not go out into the marketplace smelling good, especially in a place where there's a chashad of mishkav zachar. And the Gemara says he shouldn't put it on his clothing, but he could put it on his body to act as a deodorant. The Gemara has a shaila machlekes. What happens if you put it on his hair? Is it like clothing or putting it on his body? A Talmid Chacham should not go out by himself at night, because people will make rumors about him. Unless he has a chavrusa learning, that people know that he's going there, and that's why he's out by himself. A Talmid Chacham should not have shoes that have two patches on them. It's not nice. And only if it's in a place that it's seen, and only if it's in the summer days where there's no mud outside, and only outside. A Talmid Chacham should not be talking to a woman in the marketplace, even if that woman happens to be his wife, daughter, sister, because people don't know that they are related to him. And a Talmid Chacham should not be in the company of an Am Haaretz, because the Am Haaretz might bring him down. And he should never be the last one in the Beis Medrash, because people will say that he's negligent. And he shouldn't walk very wide steps, because the Gemara says every wide step takes 1/500th away from his eyesight. And if he does do so, he should make Kiddush, and that will restore his eyesight. And finally, a Talmid Chacham should not walk upright, because that's Gaiva towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have a wonderful day.